Wow, that was intense. I've had to stop the car and have a cigarette, give my adrenaline and my anxiety levels a chance to recover to normal. This isn't what I was expecting. When I programmed the name of a place I wanted to explore into my sat-nav, I was imagining it would be a town or a coastal resort or even a big village. It was a fantastic drive here. After I got about 3 hours in, the environment changed completely. I suddenly came across these very unusual looking buildings. I've never seen anything like them. They're like a hut on top of stilts. I did some googling and I found that they're a traditional type of building called a bread basket. Now, they're not dwellings. They're actually designed to store food in, and the reason they're on these stone stilts is to prevent vermin from getting up and eating the food. The roads became incredibly twisty and narrow, and up the mountains I climbed until I came to this incredible man-made reservoir. I really never would have imagined something like this in a place like this. As I went further up, I came to this beautiful tiny little settlement. The roads were so narrow that you were almost hitting houses as you went through. If you look on the right, you can see the bread baskets in use here. Almost immediately after leaving that little village, the inclines got very, very steep indeed, and my car started to struggle. The temperature gauge went through the roof and I started to worry I was going to break down. But there was nowhere to turn round. I was fully committed. So there was nothing I could do except bury the throttle and pray to God that I was going to make it up. That was the moment I hit the cattle grid and also saw the sign. The tarmac beneath me disappeared and was replaced with a stony, bumpy track. And I found myself in the situation which I fear most when I'm driving and travelling. I knew it, without any doubt, I was going to have to reverse for 15 minutes down this incredibly steep, twisty, narrow, windy mountain road with severe drop-offs on either side. I'm so relieved I was just in the car and not the rig. Let's get on with the video. Today we're in a place called LLanes in Asturias, northern Spain. And what a fantastic place this is. On one side you've got the incredible sea, the coast, the beach, and then you've got this town which has sprung up. A lot of it's quite modern, but it's also very historical, and the architecture is spectacular. And then on the back, the Pinchos mountain range. The town's sandwiched between the mountains and the sea, and it's got just the most wonderful cool breeze running through, the cool air from the mountains the other side, and it is hot here, so it's very welcome indeed. So this is where we are, Asturias. The reason I ended up stuck at the top of the mountain is because I thought Asturias was a village or a town, but actually it's a province or a region. It's 10,000 square kilometres and there's a population of about 1 million people. So when I put Asturias into Google Maps, it just picked the hottest point in that whole province, and that's where it sent me. Its history goes back to medieval times. There's remains of castles, beautiful towers. It's a place where there's been much territorial dispute over the years, and it's also a place that the bourgeois like to call home. A lot of the towns and villages in the south of Spain are what they call Pueblo Blanco, or white town. All the buildings are in white, and the reason for that is because it's so hot in the summer. The white's there to reflect the heat. But in this part of Spain, the climate's much more temperate, and as a result, there's no real need to make everything white, and they sure do make the most of it. There's so many different coloured buildings in this town. It's like Balamori on steroids. This is a fairly typical Spanish town hall, but the building next to it is not typical at all. The headquarters of the former Llanes Casino Theatre is an exceptional example of the so-called Indian architecture of northern Spain. The term Indian architecture refers to the luxurious residential buildings, palaces, chalets, etc. that members of the bourgeois and upper class who had become wealthy through trade and industry in the Americas, or the Indies, paid for on their return to native Spain. It's pretty quiet around town at the moment. This isn't always like this. It's because it's at that time that the Spanish had their siesta, between say 2 in the afternoon and 4:30. During this time, many of the shops shut and everybody goes home, spends a while with their family, has some lunch, and generally just stay out of the heat. I know Spain's a place where you expect to see lots of tapas bars, but this is actually one of the few I've seen since I've been in this part of Spain. They don't really seem to have a lot of tapas. Instead, they have something called pinchos, which are small sandwiches with a variety of fillings, very pretty, very like canapes. And all of the bars and cafes have these on display all day, and they seem to eat them for breakfast, lunch and dinner. I found a lot of very grand buildings here. There's some really beautiful designs, and there's a few very neglected mansions lying about that I can't understand why nobody's done anything with them. They've just been left to ruin. The whole place has got a feel of opulence, wealth and excess about it. It's a very arty town. I notice as I'm walking around there's lots of arty stuff.
¿Qué mesa? 6-1. 6-1.
Isn't that beautiful? I really like that. And then here next to it, here's an example of what I was talking about earlier. This is clearly a very expensive abode, and yet it's been left vacant. Since I've been in Spain making these videos, I've seen a number of children's play areas, and each time I've looked and thought, what a fantastic place for a child to grow up with the mountains in the background. And along with the playground, they got their own beautiful little bay of a beach, apparently one of about 40 along the LLanes coast. And a beautiful traditional town wouldn't be complete if it didn't have an old town. When I look around places like this and see the beauty and the variety and the style, it makes me wonder what we're doing with the rubbish we build these days. We seem to have forgotten about the concept of style and character. Everything we build is bland and nondescript. Why do we do that?